There's a mystery buried deep under the earth in the North Carolina Piedmont. It's made of concrete, cables, and some conspiracies.
There was a secret government facility in Chatham County. It's this giant concrete cube on these huge springs.
An underground bunker out in the country has been a source of speculation amongst residents of Chatham County for decades.
Very secretive. They had armed guards for a long time.
So what the heck is up with this place? What's it used for? And why isn't anyone allowed inside?
You think of it and it makes you feel uneasy. It's like, what's in there that the rest of us weren't supposed to know about?
Everybody likes a good mystery, right?
Maybe they knew that there were aliens or something like that. Yeah.
I'm Anissa Khalifa. This is The Broadside, where we tell stories from our home at the crossroads of the South. This week, producer Charlie Shelton Ormond explores the secrets of the Big Hole.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Are you ready to rock big savings? Rakuten's Big Give Week is a festival of savings with 15% cash back at hundreds of stores. We're talking 15% cash back at Expedia, Ray-Ban, Stanley, and more. Shoppers in the know get the best savings when they use Rakuten. They shop the brands they love and earn cash back on top of deals. Big Give Week is only once a year, and the cashback rates are through the roof. I'll be shopping for some new beauty products and home essentials while getting 15% cash back on it all. I get my cash back sent directly to my PayPal, and it feels so good whenever I see it hit my account. Join for free today and get a $20 welcome bonus. Hurry! Big Give Week ends May 12th, and there won't be an encore. Go to Rakuten.com or download the Rakuten app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten.com.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
The reaction I got from locals when I started doing reporting, kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod on that, yeah, we know stuff, but we can't talk.
I was recently talking with my colleague Jay Price. He's a military reporter at WUNC, and he said, kind of offhandedly, there's a secret underground bunker in the middle of Chatham County?
Yeah, it's pretty strange stuff.
I said I did not know that, but you have my attention. So we hopped into a studio.
They were pretty secretive. I mean, there's still a fence around the one down there in Chatham County, which was actually owned and run by AT&T.
Jay, this keeps getting stranger the more you talk
it does
about
get stranger and stranger.
Okay, so here's the deal. Chatham County. It's just west of Raleigh in the Piedmont. It's full of these lush forests, a beautiful lake, some lovely small towns like Pittsboro. And then, down a long private road is a windowless gray building with what looks like a big satellite dish attached to it, and a sprawling chain link fence around the property. The facility is known among locals by its nickname, the Big Hole.
It came from this huge pit that they dug for the facility there. So when you drive up to it, really all you could see is these two kind of 40-foot-ish concrete buildings, structures.
What is it? I mean, what is this facility?
It's underground. No, this was an AT&T facility that it maintained on behalf of the government.
Okay, so it's a big bunker for the federal government.
Yeah.
It's run by AT&T out of the country. Who is this for exactly?
So it was supposed to be for military and or civilian leaders to survive any sort of nuclear blast. And they would have decamped there in the threat of a nuclear holocaust, a serious nuclear threat.
Now, the threat of nuclear annihilation, thankfully, isn't really top of mind these days. But back when the Big Hole was built...
You're talking about the early to mid-'60s is when this thing was constructed.
Height of Cold War paranoia.
Yeah. And the height of Cold War expenditure, right? Like they're willing to dump money on anything that kind of vaguely seemed to make sense.
Jay's never gotten clearance to go inside the facility. He says AT&T stays pretty tight-lipped on it. But Jay has gotten a sense from people who've worked there what it looks like down in the ground.
The walls were concrete and several feet thick. The bottom floors apparently were mounted on springs big enough to support what's essentially a pretty large concrete building and absorb shock from fairly close nuclear weapon strikes. The toilets and urinals were mounted on their own kind of springs, and the plumbing for them, there were rubber links so that they could move around without the plumbing shattering. Right?
Oh, wow. So all the way down to the plumbing and the urinals are supported on these springs.
Yeah, I mean, you got to eat, you got to drink, nuclear attack, you still have to go to the bathroom.
The Big Hole is unique for North Carolina. But it wasn't the federal government's only getaway. Jay says it was one of 5 major fallout shelter facilities, all on the East Coast, with very boring, inconspicuous names. Project offices.
Yeah, project offices. It's like, nothing going on, nothing to see here. Keep driving.
And this is where AT&T's involvement starts to make sense. These 5 facilities, these project offices, were all set up with a special communication system.
Known as troposcatters, is a method of communicating with microwave radio signals over long distances.
Jay says this network would, in theory, help ensure the continuity of government if the U.S. was, bombed to bits.
These things are all kind of tied together, and they're to keep various aspects of the government up and running in the event of a nuclear attack, basically.
But why put this in Chatham County? The other bunkers are closer to D.C., offering an easier escape for the likes of Congress.
This is by far the most oddly placed, and the theory was that it was aimed at providing continuity by having the military leaders from Fort Bragg, which is the nation's largest army base. The idea being it's just far enough away from the base that maybe if the base itself was attacked, which you would assume it is a target, this facility would survive.
Today, though, there's not much activity happening around the Big Hole. Jay reported on the facility back in the late 2000s, when there were signs that the site was shutting down.
I heard it was closing. Probably AT&T was thinking about selling these sorts of sites. So it was kind of winding down pretty clearly. And if you go there now, it's essentially abandoned. You might see somebody out there mowing the grass or whatever. On the other hand, I've heard that periodically there's stuff going on there that looks beyond maintenance.
Even though it supposedly shut down about 15 years ago, AT&T still owns the property, and it continues to be a source of endless amounts of speculation.
It's still secretive. Let's just face it, there's something fun about these kind of weird stories. I haven't heard reports of anyone with guns in there in a while, but there have been some strange reports of people in white outfits, like scientists with clipboards. I don't know how apocryphal that is. Probably still under surveillance of some kind, but who knows?
Okay, so we see a little stop sign blocking the road.
We got some security cameras up there. So Jay, I'm planning on going to check out the Big Hole with Anissa. Do you have any tips for when we go?
Just be polite to anybody you see in the yard. And if the gate is open, don't drive in. Probably not a good idea.
Okay.
Charlie, do we have permission to go inside?
We do not.
Okay.
When we come back, Anissa and I take a trip to the Big Hole. We know that this goes several stories underground, so there could be somebody.
Right. You just
underneath
can't
our
see
feet right
them.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we get out?
Let's get out. Let's check it out.
Right.
When Anissa and I ventured out to the Big Hole, our mission was pretty simple. Set eyes on this mystery building and, best case scenario, step inside. There is no activity that I can see.
Yeah, it looks completely abandoned.
Our first obstacle, a big black gate blocking the entrance.
Yeah, I mean, it says private property, no trespassing. Violators will be subject to prosecution.
Okay.
I hope you have a plan.
We did not have a plan. So this is an intercom at the front gate. Hello? We've got this big camera that's looking right at us.
Yeah.
Hello? No answer. They really don't want you to go inside. Let's check out the other side. We stepped into the woods to see if there was a way through the fence. No luck. But we did find a field and got a closer look at the building.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a nondescript white building among the trees.
No windows, not a single window. And not a single car in the parking lot. It felt unlikely we were going to get invited inside. I think the only way in is to climb it, but it's got some barbed wire on the top. And what do you think, Anissa? Should I climb the fence?
Don't do it.
All right, I'm going to stay safe. So, no fence hopping and no trespassing. What's inside the Big Hole remains a mystery, at least for me.
It felt really strange and cold, very cold.
Drew Lasater grew up in Chatham County and still lives there today. She says back in the 1970s, she remembers visiting her dad at work.
And we just kept going down, down, down. And I'm sure that it wasn't that deep, but when you're a child, it feels really like it just keeps going down, down, down in the earth. And then we started going through these tunnels. It just felt like this closed in but cavernous at the same time.
Drew admits her memories of the inside of the Big Hole are a little fuzzy because she was very young. And those visits, they didn't last for long.
Once I was in first grade, they would not let me go in there anymore because once I could read, that was a big no-no. If you didn't work there and you could read, you couldn't get in there.
A first grader thwarted from sharing any government secrets. Now, despite the tours, Drew says her dad never shared much about his job.
It's like he just didn't want to talk about it. And I'm thinking, well, what is it about it that would make you not want to talk about it?
Stories like Drew's are a part of the lore surrounding the Big Hole in Chatham County. She says most longtime locals know it was made to be a nuclear bunker. But there's still plenty of mystery surrounding it. An eeriness of a government building that looks to be abandoned, but isn't completely visible from the outside. There's still much more under the surface that we can't see. And it's left people wondering.
Well, how big is it really? How far does it go, really?
Yeah, how's the morning treating you so far?
Oh, just another day.
Another day?
Yeah, another day.
I got an answer to that question. How far down does the Big Hole really go? From somebody who has a lot of firsthand experience.
Well, it was 3 stories deep. It's just like a regular telephone office, except it was hardened.
This is Bobby White. He worked at the Big Hole for decades.
Yeah, I worked there for 31 years. I was basically a technician.
Bobby retired back in 1999, and today he spends a lot of his time as a cattle farmer in Chatham County.
I've had 18 newborns this year. I got to get rid of some. I've got too many again. But
I met up with Bobby at his house out in the country, just down the road from the Big Hole. I wanted to hear about his time working there and hopefully separate fact from fiction. First, Bobby confirmed the facility was made to be a bunker.
We were able to basically shut up, button up, and live there. And we were also a relocation center for higher-ups, whoever they might be.
He also said it had a communication system set up with the other project offices. But technicians like Bobby weren't just waiting around for a nuclear apocalypse to fire up their equipment.
Our customers would call in when they had a problem. Fort Bragg wanted to call somebody, California or whatever. They would come to us, and our switch machine would route it on to the next area. They would switch it on.
Bobby says he needed top secret security clearance to work there. But he never saw anything too out of the ordinary. Mostly generators and big telephone systems. No secret labs, no alien experiments. But he's heard some of the rumors.
Oh, underground refueling station for submarines or something like that. I've heard that stupid thing.
For him, it was a steady, well-paying job.
Yeah, it was a very good job. Good benefits, good wage for what we did.
Is it still in operation today?
No. I think back in, I retired in 99, and shortly after that, they closed it down.
Okay.
Buttoned it up.
When you left in the 90s, did they tell you to be hush-hush about anything?
Yeah, at that point in time, we were supposed to not say anything about it as far as what we were doing and all this.
But Bobby's comfortable these days talking about his old gig. He says enough time's gone by, and there's not much left to keep secret. I asked him if he still has any knickknacks from his time working there. He said he's got some old slots from the switching machine, and maybe one more thing.
Somewhere I've got a set of keys that used to open everything out there. I'm sure they're not usable now, but...
Keys or no keys, Bobby still unlocked some parts of the elusive Big Hole.
Who knows? Everybody likes a good mystery, right?
Back in the studio, my colleague Jay Price and I considered what could be next for the Big Hole. I reached out to AT&T for this episode, but didn't hear back, so no official word on what the future holds for the facility. But if the company isn't using it anymore, why is it still there? According to Jay, the answer might not be so top secret.
What do you do with something like that, right? Like they're dank. You would have to probably run pumps to keep the water out.
Yeah.
Dehumidifiers. But former judge down in Chatham who helped build the thing when he was in college told me, he's like, well, make a heck of a wine cellar.
That's a lot of wine. I mean, that's the thing is for a bunker that's made with that specific purpose, you can't, easily turn that into an Airbnb in Chatham County.
No.
This episode of The Broadside was produced by Charlie Shelton Ormond. It was edited by Jared Walker. Our executive producer is Wilson Sayre. The Broadside is a production of WUNC North Carolina Public Radio and is part of the NPR network. You can email us at broadside@wunc.org. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a rating, a review, or share it with a friend. I'm Anissa Khalifa. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll be back next week.